And good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our research grand rounds. I'm Dr. Kim Williams, the Chair of Medicine here at University of Louisville, and we are so pleased today to hear what will be a very interesting and inspirational talk from Dr. Tara Schapmire. She will be speaking on From Silos to Synergy, Cultivating Collaborative Palliative Care Clinicians. Dr. Schapmire is listed as an associate professor of medicine, and she's the curricular director at Trager Institute. But she has actually received notification of her promotion, so she is now a full professor starting really soon. Her background is her Ph.D. was done at University of Louisville, Kent School of Social Work and Family Science, after her master's degree was obtained from the same location. And she is a board certified physician and hospice and palliative practitioner, sorry, not physician, of hospice and palliative credentialing center and the Board of Oncology social work certification. She has a background not only in social work, but her experience in palliative care and oncology is really inspirational. She has multiple publications as attested to by her recent appointment to or promotion to full professor, which is a high standard that she has actually achieved. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Schapmire, and thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us today.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it so much. Thank you for the kind words and for the support to full professor. Very, very exciting and cool honor for me as a social worker in a school of medicine. Which is what this is really all about, cultivating collaborative palliative care clinicians. And, as back in practice, and I'm going to be sharing research from a team, by the way, of researchers who worked together here for years under Dr. Mark Pfeiffer, then now emeritus professor. He's here today. He brought together a shop of interprofessional clinicians and researchers many years ago. And I'm going to be presenting some of the work that he helped start. But the reason he did that, and that I was so excited when I finished my PhD to join a school of medicine instead of a school of social work, was because I had had pretty magical experiences as a clinician. My practice experience was predominantly at Baptist East Hospital. I did a little internship at UofL Hospital in the trauma unit when I was working on my master's. But then I went to Baptist, and it was the physicians, the nurses, the social work, or the chaplains and other social workers who made me a better social worker, and all the other clinicians that I worked with. I was better at what I did because of what I learned from them. And I really did want to join an interprofessional research and teaching team. And the best opportunity for that was here at the School of Medicine at UofL. So I'm going to take you on a little journey of our work together through the years. It started many, many years ago, and kind of show you what we've been doing. One, obviously, thank you, Mark Pfeiffer, for being here today, for all mentorship and support that you do me all these years. You're the reason I'm doing what I'm doing and the job that I have. You're the reason for my promotion, and so thank you. But also the other reason is Dr. Barbara Head. When I was considering working on my PhD, I knew her. I knew her from practice. She worked at hospice here for many years before working on her own PhD. She is one of the researchers that Mark brought together to do interprofessional palliative care and chronic illness here at the School of Medicine. And she retired from emeritus professor and sadly died from breast cancer in 2023. But all of the work that I'm presenting again today also comes from her. So these are my disclosures. Current funding is predominantly NCI and HRSA, and I have no other disclosures. And definitely starting with the NCI, very, very grateful for them and for their support for many years, all the way back to the first writing of our first R25 back in 2008 or 9. Their support of palliative care, their support of collaborative practice, and integrating palliative care with oncology care. Big, strong supporter for many, many years. And so very grateful for the many grants that we have received from them. So we all noticed this silo, right? We had these magical clinical experiences with our team. Like my professional well-being and job satisfaction came as much from it as from, the patients and the families that we serve, but it also came from the clinicians that I worked with. To this day, my best friends are physician, nurse, chaplain. And so, but if you remember, if you grew up in Louisville, you remember these silos, right? They aren't here anymore, but I drove by them many times. Most of us have, if you're from here. And they didn't smell very good either, if I remember right. There was something stinky in the area every time I drove by there. But they existed, and they're a representation of how we all learn, right? We're all trained in silos. We learn, social work theory, social work science, so social work clinical practice, right? Versus chaplaincy theory, nursing theory, physician medicine theory and science. And yet we end up graduating. We don't train together very often. And then when we graduate, we're expected to work well together and to collaborate really well, communicate really well together in order to give good patient care. And the good news is when we do it well, we do actually give better patient care. But it's still a challenge because of accreditation and any number of reasons, professional training calendars. It's still a very big challenge to do interprofessional education. But, we did believe strongly in it. And, we think really that training health profession students and interdisciplinary teams to acquire core competencies for interprofessional collaborative patient care actually does lead to the now quintuple aim of better patient outcomes, the improved patient experience, improved clinician experience, lowering costs, and promoting health equities. That's the grand goal. And that improved clinician experience for me, that's what a lot of this goes back to. All of these are very, very important. But the biggest part that improved my own clinical happiness, as I've said, came from, doing really big and important and hard things sometimes with my interprofessional colleagues. And so we thought, okay, collaborative teaching might lead ultimately to good collaborative learning and ultimately better collaborative practice. So that was the premise for all the things that we've done through the years. And the first one was the first NCI R25 that we applied for was again back in 2008 or 9, somewhere around there, got funding in 2010. And this is what it was called, the ICOPE, the Interprofessional Curriculum for Oncology Palliative Education. And it was based on the NCP domains of quality palliative care, which include structure and processes of care, physical aspects of care, psychological aspects of care, social, spiritual, cultural aspects of care, and care of the patient near dying or end of life, and then ethical and legal aspects of care. And it all kind of centered around communication with our target audience here at U of L of medicine, nursing, social work, and chaplaincy. So raise your hand if you participated or facilitated an ICOPE session through the years. Okay, but there's at least half probably. So this was funded in 2000, like I said, 8 or 9. It started in 10. We had the first cohort somewhere around 2011, I think, and the grant was over in 2015. And the School of Medicine agreed to continue to host ICOPE and to continue it. They decided it was a really good thing. We made it was mandatory. By the way, Mark, I remember what Mark said, Dr. Pfeiffer, when we got the review back, that the reviewers said, gave us a good score and said, good luck, this has never been done before. Promote, so we suggested that it was possible to create mandatory interprofessional learning experiences for all medical learners, all social work learners, all chaplaincy learners, and all nursing learners. Now, to this day, we're still doing it. Thousands of learners, 15 years later, we're still doing it. And it is still mandatory for nursing and medical students, M4s and nursing students in year 4. It's all the social work. I teach a lot of classes at the School of Social Work, and all the social work students in my classes, I don't care what the topic is, they're doing ICOPE. And so we have, 50-ish to 60 social work students going through per year. And then the chaplains, from hospitals, residency programs, fellowships all over the city still send us quite a few to continue to train and facilitate. And the object of ICOPE during the research phase was to evaluate its impact on trainees' interprofessional end-of-life attitudes, skills, and self-efficacy using a pre-post test design to evaluate their progress. And rather than describe the curriculum, I'm going to take you back with a little bit of video and share this one. It's Dr. Mark Pfeiffer introducing, way back again, probably somewhere around 2010, introducing the components of the ICOPE curriculum. So those of you who didn't raise your hand, this is what it is.
Hi, I'm Mark Pfeiffer, Professor of Medicine here at the University of Louisville, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to your palliative care education. As a learner in nursing, medicine, chaplaincy, or social worker, you'll be participating in a unique program we've developed with the support of the National Cancer Institute to do interdisciplinary palliative care education. The concept is simple. Palliative care is delivered by interdisciplinary teams, and yet we train in these 4 disciplines very differently and gather at the bedside and expect everything to work well. So, in this program, you'll be training and learning together. Now, even if you don't plan on being a palliative care expert, you'll still need to apply the concepts of palliative care, everything from physical symptom management to cultural issues and the care of your patients. You'll be learning from each other about the value of the disciplines and putting together a patient-centered care plan. Materials for this program have been, or will soon be given to you physically. And in addition, everything is available on Blackboard. But I'd like to give you a brief overview to help you get started. You'll be participating in 3 major components of the program. First, to complete 4 online modules. One is a brief introduction to the roles of each discipline in providing palliative care. Then you'll engage 3 patients. A gentleman the day after his surgery for colon cancer, a woman entering an emergency room for an injury who gets an unexpected diagnosis of advanced cancer, and a somewhat isolated gentleman at his first visit at the cancer center after a diagnosis of pancreatic cancer. Each patient, of course, has a unique story and environment, and therefore needs a unique care plan. And in addition, the 3 modules, like the varying patients we see, are different in their styles and approaches as well. The second component is what we lovingly call ICME, the interdisciplinary case management exercise. It is the most novel aspect of your training, where you will work in person with other students to plan the care of a patient with advancing insight. You'll play the role as the expert in your field on a team. And finally, you will complete a clinical rotation with a working palliative care team that includes a reflective writing exercise. So it's time to get started.
All right, so beginning with the pretest is what the cutoff was. So that was the introduction that many learners through the years have seen to ICOPE and helping them understand what it is. And this is some of the impacts that, that between the startup of the grant and then the School of Medicine and nursing and social work and all the chaplain programs in town have continued to commit. To date, over 5,000 learners, and it's definitely because last year it was right at 5,000. So with each new, remembering that medicine and nursing is 100% required, with each new year, we get several hundred more to add to this. And just like in clinical practice and clinical settings, you have majority of nursing and medicine colleagues, and then 1 or 2 chaplains, social workers. So it's a smaller group. But this is over 5,000 learners who have gone out into the world, practice all over the country now, who have a slightly better understanding of their interprofessional colleagues, scope of practice and skill set and competency, a slightly better understanding of palliative care concepts and collaborative and good communication. And it's something that we're really proud of. Every facilitator here every year, we think, okay, here we go again. We have to sign up for, 5 ICOPE sessions to facilitate. And, it is a lot. We do updating. We just got done updating all the online modules again this past year with the help of again, an interprofessional panel. But it does, we've been doing this for a long time. But for every learner that goes through, it's a brand new first time experience. And that's what we have to continue to remind ourselves. And the feedback that we get from them is that it's very positive. It's a very meaningful learning experience for learners. And we've done it both virtually and in person. We still offer both models now since COVID. We offer virtual options as well because the classes that I teach, several of them are online. And so I can get my online learners involved more if we offer online options. So something that we should be really proud of here in the School of Medicine. Impact on learners, ultimately the research portion of this first study, we completed and published this paper back in 2015 when we only had a few hundred learners, but it significantly improved end-of-life attitudes and skills and student self-efficacy. That was confidence in their ability to use interprofessional collaborative skills and execute tasks in an interprofessional environment. And the qualitative feedback was that it was very meaningful, satisfactory, and relevant. And just to give you a quick picture of pre to post per profession, you can see there, again, we stopped measuring, but continued to do it. But this was way back then. You can see those effect sizes. That's what we really want you to see. You've got nursing, medicine, social work, and chaplaincy. And they grew, and it was significant, but they had big effect sizes, a big impact on their knowledge and their skills. It's something that we're really grateful for. And this was specifically an end-of-life professional caregiver survey, so it spoke to specific end-of-life knowledge and skills. And this one was the interprofessional experiential learning scales. So it's all targeting self-efficacy. Again, large effect sizes in change from pre to post. And so rather than, again, give you too many of those research slides, we're going to give you some qualitative feedback here with the impact that ICOPE had on learners.
What was very, I guess, eye-opening to me going through the ICOPE experience was that palliative care is just as much about living as it is about end of life and dying.
The most important thing I learned was that it's not always depressing. Like you can touch so many people's lives by giving them the information that they need and helping them take care of their loved ones and just being there for them, getting them all the necessary things they need.
I learned a lot about interdisciplinary care because this was the first time that we actually saw other disciplines and what they did. Because as a nursing student, we really just focused on the nursing profession and what we're responsible for. So I thought it was interesting to see what the doctors are responsible for and the chaplain and the social workers and how we're all working for the same patient with the same goal in mind and how we just need to communicate with each other and connect our jobs together in order to achieve the same goal.
I really like the hands-on, doing the clinical observations, like going to family meetings with the whole team. It was a great experience and I loved talking with the families.
I really enjoyed seeing how all the different members of the healthcare teams came together and worked. And I never had really before understood all the people that were involved with these patients. So it was really great to see them all come together and just how they each put in their own input into taking care of those patients.
As someone who's been on both sides of the table with the palliative care team, I've come to appreciate how important it is for the team to bring comfort to the patient at the last days of life. They approach the family unit in a completely different way, and they provide comfort to the entire family unit. And deciding to make those last moments of a person's life very intentionally better than they could be is something that is very special to the palliative care team. Each person comes in with that goal and that objective, and as a family member, they can feel that. They feel that the doctors, the pharmacists, the chaplains, everyone is there to provide comfort to the family and to make the last few moments of your loved one's life special, memorable, and as pain-free and as comfortable as possible. And that's something very unique and special about care with you.
I think what I learned most during that time is the distinction between multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary. So working as part of the interdisciplinary team, I'm able to learn more about my role in the care team and also learn about what others do. So we're able to have communication and have a proper purposeful care plan where we all work together and communicate.
As someone who has just gone through the palliative care experience with my grandfather, I think seeing that approach of providing comfort to the entire family was so important. It helped us with our grieving process. It helped us to accept the fact that yes, he's going to pass away soon. We can make him feel comfortable. We can make this last moment very special.
I think that this experience is going to impact my practice a lot because I really learned about holistic care and about how even though the chaplain's job is their spiritual care and the social worker is more their social aspects, I learned that it's kind of all of our responsibility to focus on those different things, not just those individual disciplines. So I'm really going to try to focus on holistic care of my patients and focus on their physical, spiritual, and social needs. So I think that that's the biggest thing I'm going to get out of this experience.
The best thing I could say about ICOPE is that I wish everyone had the chance to do it.
Right. So, in the end, we feel like we made great strides in tearing down those learning silos, at least in our little corner of the world during palliative medicine rotation and end of life classes and things like that. We hold them all captive for that period of time to really give them some of the things that you just heard them say. It's not just professional impact, but personal impact that a lot of this curriculum has had on them, and thinking about their own future, not if, but when, for all of us, end of life experiences, and have they talked to their own family members about their wishes and hopes and things like that. Just had an ICOPE this morning. Several of us here today were facilitating an ICOPE just this morning, and it was the same thing. Like we kind of challenged them to think about what are they going to take into their professional practice, as well as what personal impact some of this has, and they reflect on it and share it, and it's always really, really meaningful. And of course, these silos were eventually torn down here in Louisville as well. Something we're very, very proud of. Now, the next R25, we had success with NCI and this group of clinicians, former clinicians and researchers thought, let's just keep going. Let's try again. And so we figured if we could do it at UofL, we could take something that nobody had ever done before and overcome all kinds of barriers. And believe me, those barriers continue every semester. Every time we facilitators come together to continue to promote ICOPE, we have to talk about calendars, academic calendars, and what are going to be the best days to get the most of X profession in attendance, right? And how are we going to avoid having nothing but medical learners there on one day, right? How are we going to kind of divide it out? And it's a process that we go through every semester, and then things change. And so all kinds of barriers came up for us when we were running ICOPE, including one year, and I don't remember the exact details, Mark, you might know more, but we originally designed it was going to be M3 learners.
Yeah.
I think, and right as we were launching, they decided to make it M4 learners, and somehow there was a gap. One whole year of training, we didn't have medical students. I don't remember exactly all the reasoning behind that, but it's stuff like that happens, right? And how do we deal and how do we overcome that? So we figured, hey, let's write a grant that allows us to teach faculty teams around the country about how to create their own interprofessional palliative oncology focused experiences in their own settings with their own resources, targeting their own learners and taking advantage of their own faculty resources. Because the barriers and the solutions to a lot of the barriers we figured probably was somewhat of a common language. And we did find that, in fact, that was the case. And this was probably the best score, right? Was this the best NCI score?
Yeah.
That we ever got. That they loved it. They loved it and supported it. So I'm going to tell you about IPEX next, but before I do, I want to show you a little bit about how we introduced and recruited teams to participate. They were competitively selected to participate in IPEX. So I'm going to fast forward through a little bit at one point because some of the content you've already heard, but I want to just kind of introduce it to you. You're going to, again, continue to probably see familiar faces.
IPEX, which is funded by the National Cancer Institute, is a program to help institutions across the United States to develop and implement their own interprofessional curriculum in palliative care for oncology. And we recognize that every institution is different, with unique assets, resources, and barriers. Thus, the IPEX program starts with self-evaluation of each institution and ends with a tailored interprofessional plan. Along the way, IPEX provides faculty development using both online methods and a train the trainer workshop, and provides tools and a proven core curriculum, iCode, also developed with support from the NCI. In addition, you will have mentoring by experienced interprofessional educators. For 2 years after you start implementation, we will stay with you, learning together how to sustain and constantly improve your important work. Now, the good news is the funding from the National Cancer Institute covers almost all of your costs to participate. The goal of this project is to develop a critical mass of competent, equipped educators skilled in the development and implementation of interprofessional education for palliative oncology care.
Our senior students participate in the IPEX project. It teaches them the importance of team building and how they can be an important part of the team, and that they do have the knowledge and the skills to collaborate with other healthcare professionals. I think being seniors, getting ready to graduate, they're a little nervous, but this really builds their confidence and really helps them prepare for their practice.
If we're gonna practice this way and that's what's needed, then we need to learn this way too. We need to learn not just what do the other team members do, but how can we work together as a team? How can we develop the practices and attitudes that really foster that teamwork that can make the difference? The only way to do that is to learn it together and learn from each other. So I'm very excited about what this program is going to do for people living with serious illness by bringing us together to learn as a team and to practice as a team.
We're so thrilled by your interest in our project and hope you'll join us in our commitment to interprofessional education and whole person cancer care. We believe that every learner will benefit from the principles learned in this program, regardless of their ultimate career choice. For more information and details about the application process, please visit our website, iPEXproject.org.
Okay, one of the benefits of showing you all this video is those of us who were in those videos get to see ourselves with all different levels of hair, body sizes, all kinds of fun things. And every time we do an eye cope, I'm like, oh gosh. So that's what I hope was, and we evaluated it, the impact of it on trainees' self-efficacy and interprofessional education skills and interprofessional education and collaborative competencies using a pre-post design again. And we trained 8 teams annually for a total of four cohorts from both academic institutions as well as clinical settings. And they could consist of up to 8 or 6 members of teams, and at least they had to represent at least 3 professions. So they might have had 2 physicians who came, but at least 3 professions had to be represented at each of the within each team. And they had to have experience in oncology and palliative care, because this is an NCI grant. We had a lot of teams who intended to go out and do palliative care, collaborative palliative care teaching without necessarily using cancer examples, but somebody on the team had to have some cancer experience so that it was still honored in some way, that there was still somewhat of a mission to definitely support cancer patients. So you can see that the cohorts pictured there. The last one was 2021. We're all wearing our masks in the fall of 2021 when we came back together, right as conferences, in-person conferences and teaching experiences were coming back together. So what is it? Again, you don't have to be able to read this slide, but just notice across the top that we had 3 phases, from pre-workshop through the workshop phase of phase 2 to post-workshop support. And in phase 1, we had things like teaching collaborative healthcare practice. These were either online modules or webinars that we did under these topics, welcoming them to the program, focusing on integrating palliative care with oncology care, because that integration continues to be, it requires special attention, and sometimes it can be a challenge because a lot of oncology professionals, we do already see ourselves as providing palliative care. So that's something that we really were intentional about. So giving them the tools that they might need, specifically trying to integrate into oncology teams. And then leadership and organizational change, as well as using problem-based learning or case-based learning. Then you had the workshop, where we came together and they would have skills practice as a team, team development. They had dedicated time just to develop and think about things that they wanted to do when they got back. We modeled interprofessional and collaborative teaching for them and gave them all kinds of ways to actually do that. Lots of examples and lots of models. Gave them an opportunity to network as well. And the specific skills training was really focused on curriculum development, evidence-based curriculum development, evidence-based collaborative learning, integrating reflections into learning experiences, and really thinking about optimizing group learning. And then the last phase was with monthly support after the thing that, you know, brief progress reports on the goals that they set, and as well as monthly mentoring calls. And it all ended in a final exchange video conference where all of the teams came back together to report on the progress. And I forgot to mention that during the workshop, the very last day of the workshop, they each would present, like they would create a formal presentation of what they wanted to do when they got back to their institution. So we gave them that time to kind of develop that elevator pitch, to develop the objectives, so that they were ready to go back and start, you know, getting in front of the people that they needed to get in front of to actually create the curriculum. And then again, they got continued support from us. And we do still occasionally get an email from you know, someone who's trying to do something at their institution or needs a resource around something. So we do feel like we developed a national community really focused on that. And a lot of them use the ICOPE curriculum, you know, because we have a website that's got all the modules, all the PowerPoints, all the videos loaded. And so we gave that to participants. So if they didn't have a curriculum already built, they can use ICOPE if they want. Many of them created their own. You know, we also said that PowerPoints could be edited and changed to, again, speak to the needs of their own learners, because learners love to see themselves represented in the curriculum that we're sharing, right? In an interprofessional setting. You know, I'd be upset if there was no social worker represented in something, right? So they might have to tweak it a little bit for their own settings, but it's there and available to them. Now, the measures included the core competencies for interprofessional practice, which is an individual competency assessment tool. If you haven't heard of the Interprofessional Education Collaborative, IPEC, it's a very awesome organization. You should look them up. They are supported by almost all of our national accrediting bodies. They are our national accrediting bodies for our schools are all members of IPEC. And they are all looking to improve and integrate more interprofessional collaborative competencies within each of the individual learning programs, social work, medicine, nursing, chaplaincy, so on. So check them out. They have, you know, they have a shared collaborative competencies that we use that center around values and ethics and roles and responsibilities and interpersonal communication and teams and teamwork, very specific competencies for each of those. And then faculty interprofessional facilitation skills scale that looked at contextualizing the ability to create clinical interprofessional education experiences and encouraging interprofessional collaborative experiences. And it ended in a written reflection. Again, we can thank Barbara Head for those written reflections. We still have them with every ICOPE that we do. We still have students submit, you know, write about a clinical or a clinical experience and write about it. Or they may have to watch a film if they don't have access to a clinical experience. And we had our IPEX learners do the same thing. And some of the most powerful data came from that. So this is our sample. You know, we had around 132 participants who were predominantly women and predominantly white. Largest representation by profession was nursing, followed by medicine, and then social work. The sample was divided in half in terms of interprofessional education, with 50% roughly having 2 years or more experience in interprofessional education. But even with that, you know, 50-50, they all felt as though they got something really meaningful out of it. And this is just the team. So this was the first cohort, and we just want to show you who was represented, who participated from around the country, and came and to create something and take it back to their own institutions. So this is the first one. I think it's 8 that we had in our first year. And in 2019, this is our additional teams, again, from all over the country. I think we had somebody from Texas every day. Big state. And something happened in 2020, so we had to skip. So we got back together in 2021 so that we could continue that training. And these are the institutions that joined us in that year. And finally, the teams in 2022. Again, big representation from all over the country and very, very different programs and projects that they created. These are the actual disciplines that were represented. So we had, we had nursing, medicine, chaplaincy, social work that we could really measure. But the majority of them had to be lumped into like the other category for analysis purposes because there were only a few, right, for each. But, someone somewhere at one of these institutions is targeting learners in these programs and bringing them into interprofessional learning experiences now related to palliative care and palliative oncology. This is our growth from pre to post on each of the subscales. They, again, just notice really the effect sizes that we were very proud of. The first 4 rows are the IPEX subscales that range from 1 to 10, and the last 2 are the interprofessional facilitation subscales that range from 1 to 4. Both of them having higher scores was higher self-perceived competence and skill. And the only thing you need to take away from this is that you can see chaplain, medicine, nursing, pharmacy, each color represents a profession. And this just shows growth from pre to post for every individual profession. So everyone had, a lot of growth from pre to post, which we were really, really grateful for. And then here's a couple of the some of the comments from the written reflections that I just want to read out loud because it's really cool to see. IPEX opened my eyes to real interprofessional education. I knew I had always been working in interprofessional teams, but it took a while for me to even absorb the definition of interprofessional education. I learned that my instincts are to be the teacher rather than to cultivate a learning environment. And another participant said, participation in IPEX was particularly important because it opened up new ways of looking at not just the training, but the collaboration of interprofessional team members as they work with emerging professionals. And that's so true. What we experience in our own clinical practice, learning how to communicate together and collaborate together, we as interprofessional faculty, both with ICOPE and with IPEX, had to learn how to design and create and implement and evaluate a project from our own unique interprofessional foci and what are in our own unique interprofessional or professional values, my social work values. And I wanted to make sure everybody saw as much as they could about social work, for example. And so we really had to, what we always referred to as form, storm, norm, and perform as a group, both with our own projects and teach faculty learners from around the country how to do the same. And this is just a snippet of some of the ideas, themes, topics of programs, of educational experiences that the various institutions took back to their own setting. It might have been literally a fellowship that they created or a workshop. It might have just been an integration into one class where they brought learners from multiple professions to one class. The length of time, one program might have done something one day, once a year. Another one, creating the fellowship, was going to be a weekly ongoing thing for many years. So lots of diversity in not only professions, but in programs that were taken back to teach these values. So ultimately, we concluded that our national training program in interprofessional education for faculty and leaders in palliative care and supportive oncology does improve interprofessional education competencies and confidence and results in tailored educational programs. And it is something that we're really proud of. And it was done, both projects were done with our own interprofessional faculty team that you can see here, all UofL people or retired, and very, very grateful. You can see medicine, social work, nursing, public health, chaplaincy, all represented. And a strong continued commitment to support this, and it couldn't have been done without these people. And for those who are getting the slides, this is our list of publications that some of the publications that came out of our work with ICOPE and IPEX. And then, you know, I wanted to just throw in, you know, next steps, right? Because we had Barbara retire, then we had Mark retire, but Danica and I are here still as the interprofessional palliative care and chronic illness team within the palliative medicine division, wanting to continue our little research shop. And so, you know, we're working on grants. I'm definitely very much involved with the Trager Institute and a lot of the work that's been. But within hours, you know, if you're familiar with palliative care, you've probably heard of something called EPIC, educating physicians on palliative care, palliative and end-of-life care. Maybe something called ELNIC, educating nurses on the same. And for years, we social workers, I got trained in EPIC, I got trained in ELNIC, and became a trainer for both of those. But like a group of us were always like, wow, we need to do something like that. Why isn't there something like this for social workers? So finally it occurred to us that we needed to be the ones to create it. So we created SPEC. And of course, I served on the faculty advisory committee for the creators of SPEC that was created out of the MJHS Institute in New York. And by a group of interprofessional, or not interprofessional, sorry, a group of colleagues from all over the country, all social workers. So created for social workers by social workers. And then I was like, okay, let's apply for an R25 and focus that, you know, specifically on oncology, because again, my background is predominantly oncology, cancer care. It's what I understand the most. So we wrote and got this one, just got notice of funding back in August for this next 5-year grant, which it does sound like it's going towards uniprofessional after all this work in collaborative care, but I promise you it is not. We are actually really focused on helping oncology social workers claim some clinical leadership and drive excellence in collaborative cancer care. So huge portion of all of the curriculum is focused on interprofessional practice and interprofessional communication, and how to understand, get to know, and learn from their interprofessional colleagues and work with them, so that, you know, we can continue, because it's still a mission of mine to improve collaborative care. And so we want to try to do that with this one. So this is the latest version, and we have support from the Association of Oncology Social Work in that as well. They're providing all the CEUs, which is really cool. It's like 30 CEUs for every trainee who participates. So that is it. Thank you very much. So I'm open to questions, and I'm going to open up maybe the Zoom. Jason said he was coming back. So I assume there are still people here on Zoom, but I can't tell.
Yes, Tara, there are.
Okay, great.
Our flight was delayed, so I'm still here. So yeah, Dr. Williams had a question. And let me just read it. I don't know if Dr. Williams, if he could even say it, but he said it's, you know, very inspiring, and given our very large UofL Grand Rounds international following, are ICOPE and IPACs at the point where you can include international?
Great idea. Would love to do it. In fact, I've got an email actually sent out for the SPEC grant. You know, the NCI. Oh, there you guys are. It's good to see you. So these efforts are NCI funded, National Cancer Institute funded. Oh, there's Joe too. Hi. So they are. They have stipulations for the funded training. It has to be targeted to U.S. citizens at U.S. institutions and so on. But we are like the SPEC training that I've given. I just submitted and responded to a participant from India who asked about it, and I said, you know, if you want to come and do this training, if you can get yourself here, we'll let you participate. You know, we just can't fund you, right? So that's specifically NCI, but Dr. Williams, to speak to yours, we're definitely open to, you know, helping UofL maybe claim this space a little bit more, and look for ways to find additional funding to continue and to expand it to international. Because SPEC, or not SPEC, but ELNIC has gone international, EPIC has gone international, so I think we could do IPEX, ICOPE, or SPEC in an international way if we had the right support and funding. Just haven't found it yet.
I really appreciate that. Just so I'm sure you're aware, heart disease is still a leading killer of Americans, but the other advanced countries, every single one of them, it's cancer, not heart disease. And heart disease leads the world because of the third world countries and the US. So it really would be a great opportunity to partner with others. And I'm sure there's international funding with a program as unique and as developed as what you have.
Mhm. Well, I would love to brainstorm with as many as possible, because it would be an exciting opportunity for us, and really meaningful work. And there are international colleagues. We heard it with IPEX and ICOPE too. There are international colleagues who want this training, So we did some piloting at AOSW, our Oncology Social Workers Conference, the last couple of years. And we have a lot of, because there's no requirement there, they pay to get the training. They come and they pay for the pre-conferences. It's a half-day thing, but we have international colleagues who come just to get that. So it's the need is there. It's just, again, we love to find the funding if we can versus just making them pay. Good question. Anyone else?
Nothing in the chat, but anybody in here, anybody online, if you feel free to unmute and ask, or if you want to post it in the chat, we'll pass it on. So
I guess I'll kind of make one comment.
Yeah.
For everybody that's listening to this or is here.
Mark Piper speaking.
Having this, they probably can't hear me again.
No, I'm sure.
Yeah.
We can hear you. Maybe that's you.
That idea that you have some idea, something you care about, and you want to do it. And then you look at something like this and you go, oh gosh, well, don't have all those people, don't have all that money they must have had. And just want to tell you that 20 years ago, we didn't have anything. We weren't even all that special. But we had some ideas and we collected the right people and we normalized barriers. So we're going to have these barriers like, oh, there's no medical students this year, or one of the specialties disciplines and was insisting on standardized patients for the training. It just couldn't be done. It just was impossible to have 4 disciplines doing standardized patients. So we went through all that. And the point I would make is if you have the passion, if you take the time, you get it, you can do it. You won't have any money to begin with, and you make incremental things. You don't wait for like the well-funded super institutions to have to do this, right? So I was always proud being at the NCI representing the University of Louisville, sitting next to Harvard and Stanford and Hopkins with all those other people, them talking about our program. So it's doable, whatever your passion is. It just takes good people and to normalize the barriers and get some institutional support here and there, even in modest amounts. Oh, the main thing you don't have is time. So that's the thing. Everybody says, well, we don't have any money, but even more than that, I don't have any time to do it. And actually go to the busiest people and they'll make time.
Yeah, true. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I had an idea, which I think I got in touch with you. May not be in person, but through email.
Oh, a research meeting maybe?
It's about the cancer-induced ataxia, which is mainly muscle and cardiac ataxia, and not many patients know about it, and some of the physicians may not know about it. I think it's an excellent project, and we have been working for the last 6-7 years in research, and we have found very interesting result. I believe we need to have a face-to-face meeting and go for a
to continue to explore some ideas.
I have experience in writing R25 grant. I got it got terminated on 30th of June. So I'm thinking to put another one.
Oh, great.
So this will be a great idea and great project, I think, to go forward. So
yeah, absolutely.
I'll send you email and get in touch with you and how we can collaborate and what kind of people we can involve.
Okay. Great. That's the thing. It's just like what Dr. Pfeiffer just said. People who share a mission, because this is hard work. This teaching collaborative practice, teaching palliative collaborative practice. It is. I shouldn't say hard. I don't want anything to be hard, but it's challenging work, and you have to be mission driven to be successful. Because then all the other stuff, like you said, will follow if it is your mission, and we each all those years ago had a shared mission of improving quality of life of those affected by serious illness, many of us, those affected by cancer, and really wanted to really do that, honor that mission in that way. So this really is U of L. We're kind of underselling it, but U of L really does have in this space in collaborative palliative care, particularly collaborative palliative care education, and even oncology social work because of the specialization in the Kent School of Social Work. U of L has a national reputation. People know, oh, the U of L program, if it has anything to do with palliative care or oncology, around teaching and learning, because of what we have managed to do with all these learners through the years. And something that I'm really proud of for us that we have done, and the impact that we've had on so many learners.
When I was in New York at healthcare chaplaincy working through, they were all abuzz about Louisville. And I was like, because I'm from Louisville, I was like, what are you talking about? I didn't know, but yeah, they were very, very excited about what you guys were doing. It was probably 2010, 2011-ish when they were all abuzz about it and wanting to replicate what you were doing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so cool to hear. Joe, I see you nodding. So Dr. Joe Rotella, for those of you who don't know him, he is a former hospice medical director here in Louisville and the medical director of the Academy for Hospice and Palliative Medicine, AHPM. And now he is apparently happily retired as well. But very glad you're here. I saw you nodding about the reputation piece, and Joe was in the video. He was, I don't know if you caught.
Yeah, I know.
But yes, so thank you for being here. And so he's supporting and he really helped get the word out at the national level as well. So grateful for his.
Hey, thanks for the call out. And I have
to confirm. You probably don't remember me. I was your classmate in MBA.
Oh wow!
Yeah, he can't see you, but
you can't see your face. But oh my gosh, yeah, we had fun with that IMBA program.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Well, good to hear your voice. Anyway, and I have to agree with Mark about how this program took off, just because there were a bunch of people who cared about it and just found a way to make it happen. You could say the same thing for the medical fellowship for the specialty of hospice and palliative medicine. There was no path to create that. And the same group of folks, including Mark Pfeiffer, were instrumental in making it happen. But it only happened because we just willed it to happen, put in the time and effort it took. I also do want to confirm that, from the perch that I had for a while at the American Academy on Hospice and Palliative Medicine, no other institution in the country, including those big ones that run the Center for Advancement of Palliative Care and all the big boys in the group, nobody was doing what this program was doing with interprofessional education. So you have a lot to be proud of.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions that we can address? If not, thank you very much. This has been an honor. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it very much.